Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are utilizing your quarantine productively and effectively. And I also hope that you have understood all the terms and facts discussed in our last session. So today we are going to begin with the next part of chapter 1, food and where does it comes from. But before starting the new topic, I would like to recall all the topics we have covered in our previous class. All the living beings need fuel in the form of food. Food is what people and animals eat to survive. It is a nutritious substance and is essential for all life forms. Organisms may be classified under two headings on the basis of production of food, that is, autotrophs and heterotrophs. First example is green plants. Green plants make their own food through the process of photosynthesis. These are known as autotrophs. Human and other animals derive their food from outside sources, such as plants and other animals. These are called heterotrophs. Next up, we have the uses of food in our body. As we have earlier discussed, there are five major roles that food can play in our body. First, for energy. Second, for growth. Third, for body functions. Fourth, for wound healing. And fifth, for overall complete good health. As we have discussed earlier, several ingredients are needed for the preparation of a dish. So, a question arises in my mind, that is, why do we cook food? We have three broad reasons why do we cook food. First, harmful microbes present in the foods get killed and eliminated by the cooking of raw food. Secondly, raw food material is hard to digest. Therefore, cooking makes the food soft, supple, and easy to digest. Third, it also helps to improve the taste of food. Last but not the least, the sources of food. The sources of food can be categorized under two broad headings. First is plant source, second is animal source. We have discussed the sources of plant and animals respectively, and here are some examples. Vegetables, fruits, pulses, dry fruits, oil, all are considered under the heading plant sources. Curd, butter, ghee, honey, cheese, these all are considered under animal sources. Next up, we are starting with a very new topic, that is eating habits of animals. All the animals do not eat same type of food. Based upon the food habits, animals can be divided into the following categories. The three representative categories are herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. First up, we have herbivores. Animals which eat only plants are known as herbivores. For example, cows, horses, goats, sheep, etc. Secondly, animals which eat other animals are called carnivores. For example, tiger, lion, snake, wolf, etc. Thirdly, we have the last category, that is omnivores. Animals that can eat both plants and animals are called omnivores. The most important example that falls under the category of omnivores is human beings. Yes, human beings feed upon plant sources as well as animal sources, and plants and animals as well. The examples are humans, pigs, etc. Omnivores also consume seafood that includes crabs, prawns, eels, etc., and a large variety of fishes. It was all about the eating habits of animals and their division into the three following categories based upon the food habits they have. Now, we are starting with a very new topic that is very important for your syllabus as well, that is food chain. All the living organisms depend on each other for food in two ways, either directly or indirectly. These are further classified into two headings, that is producers and consumers. We have the very first example, green plants. Green plants are called producers because they produce their own food. They prepare their own food with the help of air, water, chlorophyll, and sunlight. The process of production of food with all the mentioned things are known as photosynthesis. The food produced by plants is made available to other living beings. Thus, animals are dependent upon plants for their food directly or indirectly. That makes them consumers. Therefore, the animals are called consumers. Plants are called producers as only they produce food, which is now made available to other living organisms through the food chain. Next up, we have the example of food chain. This is the simplest food chain, the food chain of an owl. Here you can see plant is a producer. It produces its food with the process of photosynthesis. Insect feed upon plants. Therefore, insect is a herbivore and the primary consumer. It is the primary consumer because it is the first one to feed upon the plant. Mouse is an omnivore, whereas it is a secondary consumer because it is directly feeding upon the primary consumer. Third, owl. Owl is basically a carnivore, but it is a tertiary consumer because it is feeding upon the secondary consumer. Therefore, the energy transfer also relates to this food chain. Energy gets transferred with respect to each level increased in the food chain. Now, food chain is important as it performs two major functions. First, established transfer of food. Food is made available from consumers, from producers, to a level of consumers. Food is made available from producers to consumers, that is, to herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores, resulting in the transfer of food. Second, with the transfer of food, energy is also transferred from one level to another level. It was all about the food chain, how producers and consumers play a very important role to establish the food chain. Now, we are headed towards the last topic of this part, that is steps to avoid wastage of food. As you all know that the consumption of food is a huge factor. Due to various factors, not everyone in the country gets proper and enough food to eat. Some of the reasons for this are high growth rate of population. Some are deprived of money. They lack money and cannot buy proper food for them. And third is the insufficient production of food to meet the demand. Since India is a populated country, efforts are made worldwide to increase the production of food and to provide food to all. So, it becomes the moral duty of each one of us to stop wastage of food. Some steps to avoid wastage of food are given as: first, you should cook the food and prepare it in required quantities only. Therefore, it cannot be wasted. The raw materials would be preserved enough. Secondly, it must be enclosed and stored in closed containers to protect it from germs, flies, and insects. Third, heating and cooking of food prevents it from spoiling. Fourth, certain food items can be preserved by just drying them in sun. So preservation of food is very important. And the last, food should be refrigerated so as to avoid bacterial growth. This was all about today's portion of food and where does it comes from. You are required to go through the content thoroughly and all your doubts and questions would be answered. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay home.